Hey guys, this is Savannah from earthandwater.co. Today we're going to talk about Sow-wen, not Samhain. It's not pronounced Samhain, even though it looks like it should be pronounced Samhain, but it's pronounced Sow-wen, which is essentially Halloween. Ta-da, there's the podcast episode. You already know about Halloween, right? It's the same thing. The end. But we have, as a society and culture, really taken all of these holidays and twisted them into something superficial and, just not great, especially for the soul, especially for that connection and longing that we are all trying to feel within us. Holidays are supposed to be about togetherness and other aspects of life. In this case, it honors death and ancestry, preservation, protection, the darkness, okay? The dark side of life, because everything's a give and take. Everything's a balance. The yin and the yang. This is the yin, which tends to be a little scarier. It's not scary. It's not bad. It's just a thing that has to exist in order for us to have life. Life is a cycle, it begins with birth and ends with death. And in the spring with Beltane, we're honoring life and the beginnings, and Samhain is its polar opposite, so death and endings, which is necessary for the cycle to continue. Both Samhain and Beltane, since they are counterparts, are associated with the thinning of the veil. But whereas in Beltane, life is coming into being, into this world, into our physical form, in Samhain, it's honoring the transition back to the spirit realm. And this creates a balance in the wheel of the year. So in celebrating Samhain, it's pretty much going to be your same. Like I said, it's just Halloween. We just took it and gave it a different name, and well, that's just how things evolve. And our goal in focusing more on the will of the year rather than the traditional holidays, even though these were holidays for the most part before the modern day Christian holidays, but I digress. Our goal here is to bring back the wholesomeness of them and look into what they're actually supposed to mean and how they're actually supposed to be celebrated, with the honoring of the ancestors, for example. It's not about candy and dressing up, even though dressing up is super fun, super cool, and you can even use it to, dress up in a way that projects your future and what you're trying to manifest, right? You can be fun with it. You can do the spells and whatnot, the rituals that go with all of that. And it's also a really good time to set up protection spells and do shadow work. Man, I am such a huge fan of shadow work. If you're not familiar with shadow work, it's essentially just going within yourselves and trying to figure out who you are, how you are, and why you are the way you are, so that you may identify blocks in your energy and belief systems that were probably given to you from somebody else, or a situation or circumstances that were designed to keep you safe, but they don't always have our best interests in mind, even though that's what they intended in the first place. So identifying those blocks and those beliefs that are holding you back and causing you distress, essentially, from your past events and situations that you lived through. Once you identify them, your patterns, you can rework them, redo them, fix them, heal them, all of the things, so that you can let them go and create new positive patterns moving forward. So this is a really great time to do that. It doesn't have to be through meditation. It can be a journaling practice if you like. One of my favorite ways to do shadow work is to talk it out with other people, because sometimes you need that outside input to kind of help you work it the way it needs to be worked. But at the same time, you really got to be careful about who you're doing this with, because the other people, they have to be on your brainwave per se, or else they're just gonna not help. That's the easiest way to say it. They're just not helpful if they're not understanding you and where you're trying to come from and where you're wanting to go. You can only help somebody get as far as you yourself have gotten. So if you're talking to somebody who has never ever tried to work on themselves, then those people aren't very receptive to other people who are trying to work on themselves for various reasons, usually having to do with their own shadows that they need to work on. But anyway, going back to Samhain, I always highly recommend a feast for every occasion. Dress up, light some candles, and invite your friends and family over for a feast. Make it a potluck. You don't want this to be overwhelming. It's never supposed to be overwhelming. It's always supposed to be fun. Y'all can roast some marshmallows and write down your intentions and things you want to release on a piece of paper and throw them into the fire. Teach them a little bit about this kind of stuff and how not scary it actually is. Because, people fear a lot of this stuff, and it's only because they don't understand it, and it's essentially the witchcraft, right, that people were burned for in the past, and that being a memory, a very traumatic memory in society and culture, has left us to essentially stay in the quote-unquote broom closet, is what it's a thing that they call it now, and I think that's really cute because as someone who's grown up in the Bible Belt, I have for sure spent most of my life in the broom closet, per se. Crystals to work with during this time are going to be your dark ones, your obsidian, onyx, smoky quartz, pyrite, those kinds of things. I have information on the blog post if you're interested. It'll be linked probably in the description. But you can use these to meditate with or to create crystal grids for protection or whatever intention you want, okay? You can do them for whatever intention. You can do them for abundance, you can do them for releasing, you can do them for clarity, you can do them for whatever. Literally, the boundaries are endless. But you do want the focus to be kind of towards the ancestors and where you come from and recognizing the world that they grew up with and how that led us to be here in the now and with what we're working with. Again, always from a place of love and compassion, because we can't blame them for where we ended up because they didn't know any better. They didn't have the tools that we have. They didn't have the knowledge we have. In a lot of cases, should they have just been nice people? Sure. Could they have probably been nicer people? Sure. But we're working with most people across the scale, across the board, are doing their best with what they have available to them, and we can't really judge them for their own traumas that we know nothing about, right? Hate begets more hate, so you always want to come at everything from a loving, compassionate, understanding type of way. So I know a lot of us have some really salty feelings about our ancestors, okay? From a immediate scale all the way back to like a larger scale, and we just have to holding on to that hate is not helpful for any of us. We want to move forward to a brighter, more positive future, and we can't move into that loving future if we carry the hate from the past on with us. So, we're releasing all of that in the honoring of our ancestors and what they must have went through to get to where we are now. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. These things are what you make them to be, which means they should be a personal practice. It should be near and dear to your heart, and whatever feels right and feels like you want to build a tradition on, then you do that. And come hang out with us in the Facebook group and tell us what you do and how you celebrate this and other things that we can do. And we'll just talk about it and hang out and enjoy each other in a safe place. But yeah, so do that. Enjoy a couple of minutes of meditation music, relax your face and shoulders, and have a great Halloween, Samhain, Sow-wen, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing, and the intentions and the vibrations and the emotional stuff behind it matters more than the words do, so do know that. And you have a really safe holiday. Namaste.